Thank you, Patrick. And up next, we have Mr. Dick Howe. Dick?
Good morning, everybody. As Tim mentioned, my name is Dick Howe. I've been with Pittsburgh Conference Organizing Committee now for 45 years. Most of my time has been spent in the Expo area, and my favorite area of subspecialty is labor coordination. And what I'd like to do is bring my slides up for you. Now, I don't know about you, but as I go from city to city, it's just a collection of names and abbreviations. So what I like to start off with is a Expo player scorecard. As we all know, we're going to be at the BCEC, which is the Boston Convention Center and Exhibition Center. That facility, as Patrick has identified, is in a dynamic, vibrant area of the seaport region of Boston. You're going to love everything around the BCEC, and the BCEC itself is a modern, fully equipped facility that's going to be a great venue for Pittcon. Our Global Experience Specialist team of GES will again be our general services contractor this year. And an in-house contractor for BCEC is JCal Pro. They handle the rigging responsibilities for the hall. Smart Source, as Tim mentioned, is Pittcon's in-house AV contractor. So that's a quick run through of players that you'll be dealing with in Boston. Now, I was very pleasantly surprised when I dug into the collective bargaining agreements that are the contracts that the hall has with exhibiting labor supply. It is a very exhibitor-friendly environment at the BCEC. The key to it is using full-time employees of your company to do as much work as you can. Now, as long as you're running with full-time employees, you can unload and eventually load your materials from your own vehicles. You can transport those to your exhibit booth as long as you don't use mechanized equipment. Your full-time employees are able to pack and unpack your exhibitry and set up your displays. You're allowed to use hand-operated power tools, which is a nice concession that not all halls permit. And once the BCEC electricians and IT people bring the proper connections to your booth, your personnel are permitted to plug in your internet and electrical devices directly into the provided power and IT sources. Additional services such as professional labor and equipment can always be scheduled through GES. It's either prior to our event or on site at the service center. There are a number of exclusive services that are provided by the MCCA. That would include food and beverage, electrical, telephone, internet, rigging, sound system for the house, also air, compressed air and gases. And that's all spelled out in the service kit that Tim mentioned, and that has already been made available to our exhibitors. As with most halls, MCCA restricts freight and baggage deliveries to the loading dock. This is done for convenience, safety, and more recently, security purposes. There are two exceptions to using common carriers taking material into the loading dock area. The first is hand carry capability. Again, it's by full-time employees of your companies. You are permitted to hand carry one item in and out of the facility so that you don't have to access the loading dock with that one item carry in or carry out that you frequently bring in from the hotel on a daily basis. However, be forewarned that in carrying that one package in, you are not allowed to use dollies or other mechanized equipment. The other exception is material is brought in through personally owned or rented vehicles, the POV proviso. As long as you are using full-time employees, you are permitted to offload materials at the loading dock from company-owned or rented box trucks, pickup trucks, vans, whatever you choose to bring in, as long as those vehicles are 24 feet or less in length. You are permitted to use hand-operated equipment in moving material between the loading dock and your booth, as long as it is not mechanized. Now, if you're going to use the POV provisions, you need to arrive at number 4 Cipher Street in Boston. At that point, you will be logged in and you'll be given a loading dock parking pass and directions on how to proceed to the assigned loading dock that you can use for unloading your POV. There is a 20-minute time limit for having your vehicle at the loading dock. And while your vehicle is at the dock, you must have a qualified driver available at the vehicle at all times. In terms of labor procurement, we suggest that you order your labor in advance. And if you need more labor, you can always go to the exhibitor service center on site to order additional help. All labor within the BCEC, except for electrical, rigging, hardline internet, AV, and plumbing, is to be ordered through GES. And again, that can be done through the exhibitor service kit that Tim mentioned. Labor for electrical and plumbing is handled through BCEC, and directions are also in the service kit. And when you have electrical brought to your booth, it's done by the Howe electricians. They will drop power into your booth, but they will not distribute power under the carpet in your booth. If you need to distribute power under the carpet, you must do that through GES. All electricians will not run power under the carpet. Rigging, as we mentioned earlier, is done by JCal Pro. But if you have hanging signs that require assembly that needs to be processed through GES, they then will hand off to JCal Pro to have your signs hung in appropriate fashion. AV and IT within your exhibitor booth has to be ordered through Smart Source. Carpet cleaning can be ordered through GES, and that also is spelled out in the exhibitor services manual. As I mentioned at the beginning, BCEC is very exhibitor friendly. And because most of the work in most booths can be performed, self-performed that is, by full-time employees of the company, we do not expect to encounter any labor disputes on the exhibit floor. However, should a dispute develop, Pittcon, along with GES, will work in tandem with the BCEC event services manager to resolve the dispute expeditiously. Here are a couple of helpful hints. Pre-planning and timely ordering are always the right way to go. And that will ensure that you have the most cost-effective Boston experience for Pittcon. You should use the exhibitor ordering guide that BCEC has included in Tim's exhibitor services manual. We also urge you to take advantage of discounted rates, the advanced rates that BCEC offers, and those can be taken advantage of if you confirm your order 21 days or more in advance of the initial move-in date for our show. Tim mentioned that exhibitor-appointed contractors are permitted within the BCEC. However, EACs must use hall-supplied labor to perform any work in your booth. ECAC personnel who might travel the country with you are limited at the BCEC to providing supervisory function only. All work performed by EACs must be done using hall labor. That's a quick overview of the labor situation in Boston. Again, BCEC is a exhibitor-friendly environment. Just make sure that you're using full-time employees to do the work in your booth. The labor stewards in Boston are very familiar with people who show up at meeting after meeting trying to do labor on the floor, and they do have the right to stop work in your booth and make sure that anyone who is working has credentials that clearly indicates that they are full-time employees of your exhibiting company. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Margie, representing GES. Thank you for your attention.